Hey, welcome. Today we're going to tackle something that can be incredibly confusing and, let's be honest, really frustrating: chronic illness. My goal here is super simple: to give you a clear, powerful way to understand what's happening under the surface without all the confusing medical speak. Sound good? Okay, let's dive in. Does this hit home for you? It's something so many of us have felt. One day you're getting by, you're managing, and then the next, bam! It feels like your health just fell off a cliff. It's so disorienting and frankly pretty scary.
So, this is the big question, right? The central mystery we're going to solve today. That feeling, that sudden collapse, it's not just in your head. There is a totally logical reason for it, and once you understand it, you're already on the path to changing the whole pattern.
All right, first up, a sudden collapse? Let's really look at that feeling. Is your health really collapsing overnight, or is there something else going on just out of sight?
Okay, this slide right here gives us our first major clue. See, we're all trained to think about getting sick in acute terms. It's like getting hit by a lightning bolt. It's fast, there's a clear cause, and then it's over. But chronic stuff, it's a completely different beast. It's more like a slow, steady tide coming in. A gradual process, not a single event.
To really make this idea stick, we need a better way to think about it. And this next analogy, it's probably the best one I've ever heard to really get the difference between these two things.
And there it is. Acute is a storm. It's dramatic, it's obvious, you know exactly when it starts and when it ends. But a climate shift, that's a slow, creeping change. You might not even notice it day to day, but over months or years, the entire landscape is transformed. That is chronic illness.
So, if it's a slow climate shift, what in the world is happening inside our bodies during all that time before the big symptoms show up? This is where the story gets really interesting.
Here's the key thing to remember. Your body is an absolute champion of resilience. Seriously, it's designed to adapt, to compensate, and to keep you going even when things are tough. It sends out these little signals, these whispers, long before it ever gets to the point of a full-blown crisis, the scream.
This iceberg analogy is just perfect for this. The diagnosis, that moment where you feel the sudden collapse, that's just a tiny tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water. What you don't see is everything happening below the surface. Years, sometimes decades of your body quietly compensating. All that stress building up, those subtle changes in your sleep or digestion, that's the real story, building and building, long before it ever breaks the surface.
Okay, so if there's this massive hidden buildup, how do we get a handle on it? This brings us to the master key that unlocks the whole thing: the load and capacity model. It's a super simple concept that explains the entire process. First up, let's talk about capacity. Think of your capacity as your body's personal battery pack. Its resilience, its bounce-back ability. It's the total amount of stress your system can handle before it starts to show signs of trouble.
Now for the other side of the coin, load. Load is basically the sum of everything your body has to deal with day in and day out. And this is so important. It includes the whole shebang: physical stress, mental stress, a bad diet, emotional stuff, environmental toxins, all of it. And the bucket analogy makes this crystal clear. Your capacity, that's the size of your bucket. All those different loads we just talked about, work stress, not enough sleep, junk food, they're all like water pouring into that one bucket. For years, your bucket might be getting fuller and fuller, right up to the brim, but it's not overflowing. Symptoms are what happen when that one last drop makes the whole thing spill over. That's your tipping point.
So now we can use this load versus capacity idea to connect all the dots. We can actually map out the journey of a chronic condition in a way that just makes sense.
See, when your load is constantly higher than your capacity, it kicks off this really predictable domino effect. It starts with that chronic load building up. Then, inflammation starts to simmer in the background. Think of it like a quiet alarm bell that's always on. With that going on, your energy production takes a nosedive. And when your energy is low, your body can't repair itself properly. After that, things like your mood or your blood sugar start getting all wobbly and unstable, And eventually, these cycles just become the new normal. They get locked in. It's a predictable pathway.
So where is all this load even coming from? Well, as you can see here, it is almost never just one thing. It's this mix of stuff, like your sleep patterns, your stress levels, your gut health, your daily movement, your environment. The big takeaway is that they all pour into that very same bucket. You know, this model also completely changes how we see setbacks. A flare-up can feel so random and defeating, right? But it's not. It's just feedback. It's a signal from your body saying, hey, either the load just went way up or a capacity just took a hit. It's information. It is not a failure.
So now that we have this framework, we can actually start to think in a totally new way. This isn't just about understanding the problem. This is about giving you a powerful tool to see your own situation with fresh eyes.
You can actually use this simple chart to kind of locate yourself in the process. And you don't even need a specific label or diagnosis. Are you maybe in level 1, getting those early whispers like fatigue and poor sleep? Or maybe level 2, where you're stuck in those cycles of flares and your energy is all over the place? Or level 3, where you have a clear diagnosis? Just knowing where you are on the map helps you figure out the best next step.
So let's just nail down the absolute key takeaways. Number 1, chronic illness is a process, not a single moment. 2, symptoms are just the tip of the iceberg. They show up late to the party. 3, the real issue, the root cause, is when your total load overwhelms your body's capacity. And here's why that is so powerful. It gives you 2 clear levers to pull. You can work on lowering your load, or you can work on building your capacity. Truly getting that is the most important first step you can possibly take.
And that brings us to our last thought for today. I really want to leave you with this question to chew on. Looking at all those sources of load, if you had to pick the top 2 that are filling up your bucket the most right now, what would they be? Just thinking about that question starts to shift everything. It moves you from being a passenger in all of this to being the pilot of your own health journey.